Welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. The show where each week a panel of respected marketing strategists, all trained and certified by the legendary Dan Kennedy, share their wisdom, experience, strategies, and insights on how to use Dan Kennedy's philosophy on business and marketing in any type of business, and that you can apply to your business immediately. Here's your host, Craig Valine.
Hello and welcome to the most incredible marketing show ever. I'm your host, Craig Valine. Welcome again, and welcoming my friend and direct response marketing expert and certified Dan Kennedy, independent business advisor, Dan Cricks. Welcome back, Dan.
How you doing?
Great. Glad you're here. You know, over the past few episodes, we have done, at first we did the 10 no BS rules for marketing success, for direct marketing success. And then the last one that you and I did together was why entrepreneurs should use direct response marketing versus general type of marketing. And during that episode, we discussed what are the elements, the 7 elements of a good direct response marketing piece. And so thank you for being back, and we're going to tackle that. So why don't we get right to it? What would you say the number one element of a good direct response piece is?
Well, I don't know if it's the number one in order of importance, but the number one that we're going to talk about is it should be targeted to your ideal client.
Yeah.
And before I go too much further with that, and you know this, business owners and entrepreneurs really need to stop and think about who their ideal prospect is. So many of them, when we talk to them, well, it's anybody that has money, or it's anybody that might buy, and they forget we're talking about ideal. And by targeting your ideal client, it allows you to market less expensively and get better results by not going out in a shotgun type of an ad where, you know, a large percentage of the people may have no interest. So, and you can do that in a lot of ways. You know, some people go, oh, well, then I got to get a list just for those people, so on and so forth. And yeah, that's great if you're going to mail or email or when you're targeting on social media, but social media is making that more difficult to do. Okay, they've changed some of their rules, and it's making it more difficult. So you can embed that in your ad, okay, so that you target them, even though it may go out to a broader audience. You can target so that it speaks to those folks directly. So, for example, one way to do it is your headline may be "Attention Men Over 50."
Right.
Are you struggling with? Are you frustrated by? And so right away, you know, if I'm listening to that ad and I'm a 30-year-old, I'm going to shut down. Okay. But if I hear that ad and I'm over 50, and I might be a year or two over 50, if I hear that ad, my ears are more likely to perk up a little bit because I'm thinking, hey, this is me. That's a big reason why you want to do that. You want to target that ideal prospect, the one that's more likely to spend, that's more likely to have a need or a desire for what you want. And just in point of clarification, we usually can do a lot better with people selling them what they desire versus what they need.
Right.
Right.
Hey, question. Do you have a volume up or something like that? There's a little bit of feedback. Do you have a screen on, or?
I mean, no, I don't have anything on.
Okay. I'm not sure what's going on, but that's all right. Very good. Very good. So let's try number 2. What is number 2?
Well, number 2, and this is critical, and it's a key component to direct response marketing, is you must have a deadline.
Yeah.
Right? And you know, what happens if you don't have a deadline?
People put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off.
Exactly right. It leaves you vulnerable to their schedule and to what's going on in their life. And if you don't have a deadline, it's too easy to have that ad or that email or that post get put aside.
Yeah.
And what happens when we do that? Okay. I don't know about you, but by the end of the week, my pile's getting about this big, and that one may end up on the bottom. Exactly.
And I move it around the desk. It was over here before, and now it's over here. So it means it's getting there. It's getting there. But I understand it's human nature, right?
Yes. It absolutely is. And that's why in a lot of cases, the shorter the deadline, the better. I'm currently working with a nonprofit, and we put out a real heck of a promotion for an event we have coming up, a fundraiser event, and the deadline was 1 week.
Yeah.
1 week. And for me, I like it to be 30 days or less. Ideally for me, I believe 3 weeks. Okay. Because it allows for some follow-up and reminders and what have you. So but there's so many ads out there that run that you don't see a deadline.
Right.
And the downside to that is if we don't tell them or give them a deadline, then we're not going to get the business when we want or need it.
Right.
Okay. And I think I shared with this in the past. I had a client at one point came to me and said, "Hey, I may have to leave your program. Next week, the IRS is coming in and I don't have the money." And so we put together a campaign for him. We sent it out on Tuesday and made Friday the deadline.
Right.
It was a killer offer, but we made Friday the deadline. And turns out that it worked so well that he was able to bring in enough business to be able to pay the IRS and stay in business. But had we not put that short deadline on it, they might have called next week, the end of next week. Well, the IRS is come and gone, and the place is shut down. It doesn't do you any good.
Right.
You know, and so that's just kind of the extreme thing of a deadline. And it was a good offer and said, "Hey, it's only good till Friday, the end of business Friday." And people responded to it. It worked really well.
Right. Excellent example. Number 3.
Well,
way to respond.
Yeah.
Clear instructions. Don't assume everybody knows what to do or where to call or how. Geez Louise.
Exactly right, Craig. Because and sometimes we kind of get in our own head and we think everyone else, and I do this with my wife sometimes. I assume she knows what I'm thinking, right? You've never done that, right?
No, never.
But sometimes we get caught up and we're so caught up in what we're doing that we automatically know what we're talking about.
Right.
Well, the person we're advertising to and marketing to does not. Right. They do not know, and that's where the clear instructions comes in. But the more than one way to respond, and this is really elevated the last few years, is people are all over the place, and it changes. I don't know if you remember, but before COVID, when QR codes came out, everyone thought, "Wow, this is the great new thing," but they never really caught on.
Yeah.
They never went to the extent that people thought they were. Then during COVID, the restaurants started using them.
Yeah.
Rather than have a menu, here, hit the QR code, and then you did less for you to touch and all that other good stuff, right? Well, what that did, though, was that got people used to QR codes. It educated them to QR codes, and it got a facet of people that they would have never gotten before.
Yeah.
An older generation of folks, 50 and up, who didn't want to have anything to do with QR codes, now realized, hey, these are all right. These will work.
Yeah.
Okay. And consequently, there's some of them still like using QR codes as opposed to clicking on a link or something.
Yeah.
And then there are some people who want to talk to a live person.
Right.
They prefer that. So if you can give them more than one way to respond via email, uh, QR code, go here. But back to your point of very clear instructions. Okay.
Mm.
Don't just tell them to go to your website. Those aren't clear instructions. All
Right.
right. Now, if you have a landing page that pops up and says you're in the right place, do this, you're okay. But most websites have several things going on with them.
Yeah.
And we know that most folks today have very short attention span,
Right.
very little patience. And if they have to look around for what you're trying to get them to see, they'll bail.
Yeah.
So very clear instructions. Go to our website and click on this up in the left-hand corner.
Right.
Okay. And just saying click on this, now they got to find it. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell them where it is. Tell them where it is.
Yeah. I wish I could add to that, but that was very, very clear. Clear instructions on how to use clear instructions. Very cool. Number 4 should be trackable. We mentioned that in our no BS rules.
Yes. Yes. And that's a key element of a good direct response piece because it tells us if the ad is working or not.
Right.
Okay. And it allows us to measure and it allows us to leverage our marketing budget better.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it's done properly, it can help us to make it work even better.
Yeah.
It may help us to decide, hey, this isn't working at all. The more you know, the better it is. So some folks in their direct mail marketing piece like to have more than one offer. Okay. And by the way, just as an aside, I don't recommend more than 3.
Right.
Okay. But if there's one of those offers that's getting hit big time and the other's totally ignored, now that just told us something. Okay. It may have told us it's a good offer. It may have told us there's a high level of interest in this, what have you. And so we want to know if the marketing we're doing is working. And most of your shotgun ads don't allow for that.
Right. Yeah. General marketing is when we were talking about that before, it was like putting out your name. Everybody says, I'm just getting my name out there. That is BS as far as I'm concerned. We want to know that every dollar we spend is bringing back another dollar or more in at least lifetime value, right? We want to make sure that the customer value is meeting or exceeding the money that we're putting out for it. So that's awesome. And so, the general marketing pieces that I've seen by people claiming to be in marketing, when I go to local events here in my city, I'm just shocked. I'm shocked at the marketing pieces I see from people who claim to be from marketing and advertising. It's just amazing. It's just amazing.
Well, in their defense, Craig, okay, most of them have not been taught direct response marketing.
Right.
They've been taught that old school advertising, that shotgun type advertising, as you said, let's get your name out. Okay. But most small to medium sized businesses don't have the budget to be able to do that. And in a lot of cases, they don't have the time
Right.
that it takes for that to work.
When the number one thing that I always did when I went to a mixer, I mean, my flyers look like direct response ads, but it was just, hey, request my free report, request my guide, watch this video to learn more about how to achieve this excellent result, things like that. But first thing it did, and there are so many different ways to capture the information of an interested prospect. But at that time, it was just like, hey, just add your email address in here to get access to that video. And then once they watch the video, then on the thank you page or whatever, or below the video would be, here's an offer related to that video. If you click to watch that video, obviously you were interested in that. So here's an offer. So, that's, again, I could track almost, if I went to an event in the morning, by the afternoon, I could tell how many people watched that video, and it was just for them. It was not for people I met outside the event. It was for the people who went to that event, and it clearly stated, hey, if you're watching this video, we just met at the Chamber of Commerce event or something to that effect. So yeah, you gotta measure results. Gotta measure.
Well, and so the example you just gave, Craig, is awesome. Okay. But then that allows you to come back to our number one.
Yeah.
Now, these folks, like you said, have raised their hand and said, this is something I'm interested in. Now it allows you, and you said you did it in your offer.
Yeah.
Here's an offer. Obviously, you watch this video, and you may not say that, but
right.
If they watch it, they're interested. And then your future marketing.
Right.
Okay. It takes that big room of that event and narrows it down.
Right.
And it's a lot less expensive for you to market to those people that already know are interested.
Right. Right. Yep.
Yeah. That was a great example.
This episode of The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever is sponsored by Dan Cricks, a.k.a. the Been There, Done That Marketing Coach, and Results Marketing. If you're looking for help growing your business and your profits, to get more information and free small business marketing and money-making info, go to www.greatresultsmarketing.com. That's www.greatresultsmarketing.com.
We're on number 5 right now. Number 5 was speak to your ideal prospect specifically.
Yeah. And so, it's kind of tied into number 1, your ideal prospect, but folks want to know your target audience or prospect, or even your clients want to know that you have something that they are interested in. So, for example, you don't want an ad going out to people that make $50,000 a year about a Ferrari.
Right.
Right. I mean, how talk about being tone deaf, right, to your audience. And so, one, if you can target them and bring it down, then you can talk about what's relevant to them, what's important to them. Maybe even talk about someone. I'm working with a chiropractor right now, and one of the things that we want to talk to them and specifically is about pain. Okay, so many people today are in pain, and the chiropractors can talk to them about pain relief. And now, and let's face it, people over 50, 60, a huge percentage of them are dealing with some type of pain,
right?
Age-related, injury-related, whatever. Okay, and more and more of them are looking for relief that way. So you can talk to them specifically. Now he knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll just give you one quick example. Is a few years back, I had a funeral home who was a client in a small town. Okay. And this guy went to where the senior living facilities were. Mm-hmm. And he did different things for them with their different events. And a lot of the folks in those types of facilities, they're lonely. Okay. So if they get somebody that talks with them, spends time with them, he would have events where he would be up in front of them, events that they would enjoy. Okay. And he was constantly in front of them, talking about and doing things, have the events where they could have some fun. A lot of them don't get to do much outside of there. There's some facilities that have a lot going on, right, but not all of them do. And this worked so well, and this was an ongoing thing, and he had a newsletter that he had for those folks. And we know from mailing that population likes to read.
Yeah.
They like to touch and feel a piece of paper to read. Okay. And if it's interesting, if it's entertaining, they'll do it. Well, a lot of these folks would tell their family, something happens to me, this is the funeral home you're taking me to.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. They wrote it in stone. This is where I'm going, because he they were able to relate to him because they felt like he was talking specifically to him. He
Right.
didn't talk about Bitcoin and things that they have no interest in. You
Right.
see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's the whole thing about that. Speak specifically to your target.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I just realized it's not that I just realized because I've always wanted to, but I just realized that all my messaging really for lately is for people, for generally men, but I attract women too, just kind of like Dan Kennedy says. Really, he goes, I speak to the guys, but there's some women who love what I have to say, right? Obviously. But I deal, most of my clients are over 45. So, at least over 45. That's the youngest, but they're typically over 50, 52. And so exactly the language we use to attract them and to keep their attention and build upon the relationship demands that I understand who they are and what they do, because I'm one of them, right? I just happen to be one of them. Now, there are people who are in business who cater to a market who they're not necessarily one of them, but they have to have an understanding of the problems, the lifestyle, the things that are going on in their life. Otherwise, you can't relate to them. We have to know that, number one, for the messaging, but number two, to build rapport and to have that, with the funeral home example, that's excellent. Um, I don't know. Did you ever watch the show Better Call Saul?
No, no, I
No,
didn't.
he was an
I've heard of
attorney.
it.
He was an attorney who was trying to get the old people's, the people in the assisted living homes, their attention. So he used to run bingo every Monday and everything. But the point being active in their life so that there's rapport built, there's a relationship built. So when you think of blank, you know, that's it. It's like
Yeah.
I want to do business with them. We're going there. We're going when I die, we're going to that funeral home. So great examples, great examples.
Well, let me just say one thing that the point that you brought up about the language,
Yeah,
that's how they know you know who they are.
right.
Okay. Using the proper language. You know, I I can't talk to people over 50 and say, hey, dude. Okay.
Well, maybe you can if they have some 80s in them, but still.
But when I'm around my nephews and nieces, it's do this and do that. You know,
Or bruh.
yeah. I had my 7-year-old granddaughter over this past weekend, and she said, "Hey, brah," and I went, "Brah." I think she was testing.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right. Next is a compelling offer. Why should I respond right now is number one, the deadline, right? But number two, right? Compelling offer.
Yeah, and you know, I, I use this example, and I have a lot of marketing people who are my clients.
Mm,
They come for my education. I do the monthly marketing meeting, and they come to learn from me and then go use it. Well, I had one of those
yeah.
who sold like marketing to local businesses,
Right.
and she was a consulting client, and on one of our calls, she was very frustrated, and she said. Uh, she had a client that owned an ice cream store and was frustrated with her because an ad he ran with her got no results, got zero results. And I said, well, why do you think that was? She goes, because he wouldn't listen to me. He put an ad out for $1 off on a quart of ice cream in January. Uh, well, in this part of the country where you live, it might be more likely uh,
Right.
to work. But here, it's usually about 10 to 20 degrees most of January. Okay. And most people aren't thinking ice cream.
Right.
So to get them to buy your ice cream, you need to do something like buy a quart and get a quart free.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so the compelling offer, it has to be something like you said to motivate them, to get them to act.
Right.
Okay. And I like, example Dan Kennedy used to use. You got to motivate them to get up off the couch or get off their chair or put their phone down to go act
Yeah.
and go do something. Okay. So if it's not compelling, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're wasting your money.
Yeah. We like to say you feel you want an offer so good they would feel like a fool for not taking advantage of it right now.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And I just had one of those. I was at a store and I saw something my wife had been wanting for a while, but I wasn't looking for it. And I looked at it, I saw the price, and I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I called her. I said, I know we weren't thinking about this now, but this is almost a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I bought it.
Yeah.
Okay. Because it was about a third of the normal price. That's compelling to me. That that and just like we talked, it got me to stop what I was doing, call my wife.
Yeah.
I even took a picture and sent it to her, okay, and said, "Hey, and I bought."
Yeah.
Okay? That's that's almost the definition of a compelling offer. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. I agree. Good for you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Number 7, the seventh element. Have a way to expand the offer. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people kind of miss the boat on this, and we, there should be an option for them to buy more,
Yeah.
okay, and make that work for them. And so, there's an old saying in our business: a buyer is a buyer is a buyer, and we know the American consumers. The reason malls became so popular is because they go there to shop.
Right.
So many of them don't go there for anything specific. They're going, if you ask them, what are you going to the mall for? I'm going shopping.
Right.
Okay. So, in your offer, if you can say you're offering something for a special price, a special deal, you might put buy two of these and get the third one for half off. Now
Right.
you just went from 1 unit to 3 units.
Right.
Okay. Or bundle some related items together with it.
Right.
Okay. Or if you know your audience, you might be able to throw in a bonus item. So I'm going to use this. It's old, and a lot of folks may not remember, but Sports Illustrated, one of their most successful campaigns they ever ran was if you signed up for their subscription for their magazine, you got a free football phone.
Yeah.
Okay. Now they knew their target audience were men over 30, right? Many of them are interested in football, and this offer came out in like September.
Yeah.
All right. And and when they went back and surveyed, a whole lot of people signed up to get that magazine just to get the football phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And so you could buy the magazine and you could sign up for a year subscription and get the football phone for free.
Yeah.
Okay. That's something that expanded the offer from just maybe a one and done
Yeah.
to a full year subscription.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about some other examples for people listening. It's like when you think about it, when you buy any electronic device, they ask you, would you like to buy the warranty, right? So they get 20, 40, $100 extra for that. Go to McDonald's, obviously that's the most, would you like fries with that? Would you like to bundle that into a meal, right? But there are the good, better, best method of having, you can buy just the item. The better one is get the item plus this, and the best is get this and get renewable things every 3 months or every month or every 6 months or every year, whatever. But the point being is there's always opportunities to increase the average transaction value of a sale. And I was just when I was at the hospital the other day, we were looking down upon it. There's a shopping area where there used to be an old Italian restaurant, best meatball sub. I can't find one like it anymore. But the son who used to work there is now working in the hospital. So my wife said, "What happened? And she said, my father wouldn't raise prices, so we went
Oh,
out of business
oh,
after the COVID, right?" And I said, well, there's multiple ways to make more per transaction or get more per customer. every time they do business with you, or get them to do repeat business. He didn't necessarily have to raise prices, but he could have increased every transaction. And that's the problem that most people don't understand, is that, if you're undercharging supposedly, how can I add more value to the sale? How can I add more value to the customer that benefits them and benefits me? Right.
Right. It has to be a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting. Hey, we just had 7 elements, but you have a bonus.
Yeah. Yeah. So nothing like an unannounced bonus, right? Everybody likes to get that little extra. So, and this is really, really important. Um, in so you there's so much competition today. There's so much competition that you cannot put a boring ad out there.
Yeah.
It's too easy for it to get ignored. And Dan Kennedy calls it the number one sin in marketing, being boring.
Being boring.
Right? And I feel like it's especially important right now, given what we're going through right now with where people are at. There's so much negativity going on. The election always adds to that. Yeah, there's so much of that, and if you can have a little fun or make your ad interesting,
yeah,
your success rate goes way up.
Yeah.
And the chances of it getting recognized among all of that competition. And here's the other thing a lot of people don't realize. You're not just competing with those in your industry.
Right.
You're competing for the consumer's attention and the consumer's dollar. And given our current inflation economy, those dollars they're worth less.
Right.
Okay. So they have to make a decision. So you're not just competing with the other guy that does what you do, or the other woman that does what you do. One, you got to get their attention, and that's why not being boring is important. In fact, if you can be a little fun, have some fun element to your ad and still make it work, people are craving an opportunity to smile and forget all the negativity.
Yeah. It's funny, one of our driving principles is enter the conversation currently occurring in the prospect's mind. And one would think like, hey, if I tie my ad into the elections, that might be a good thing. Maybe. But the thing that might be better is the anti. Be the opposite of exactly that. Address the frustrations that you feel about the elections, or do something very different. So it's way to stand out, because when everybody's talking about elections and who's right and who's wrong and all that stuff, it's like, hey, take a break from the elections, or something to that effect that grabs their attention.
Perfect. Take a break from it. You still get to leverage that's going on, but now you get to go anti.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people right now. Yeah, that's what I need. I need a break from this.
Yeah.
They're getting burned out from all of that. Unfortunately, our 24/7 media and social media just drums it forever. And that's why I say I think it's even more important now not to have a boring ad.
Yeah. And that goes with design, with messaging, with response, with offers, things like that. It's just got to be something. And it's pretty easy in local media, especially, to be different than everybody else in their ad. But you've got to make sure that you don't let the designers at the newspaper or the media publishing company dictate what the ad should be. You have to be very clear on the structure of your ad, because the thing is, I used to work for a local newspaper a town away, and I would have to sit there with the designer and restructure the ad, because I was bringing my direct response ad principles. I was selling media, obviously selling advertising, but I'd have to sit there and say, why is your headline down the bottom of the page? Put it up at the top of the page, right? She was a graphic designer. She was not an ad expert. So she was making it look pretty, which is nice. But if it doesn't do anything for the ad, it's not necessary.
Exactly right. And that's a great example. I had one recently with a auto repair shop, and I gave him the whole ad, and he sends it to me and says, "How's this?" Well, the top third of the paper was this cool looking car.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice, but how's that going to help you get your message out?
Right.
And his information was down in very small print.
Yeah.
And But like you said, it was a graphic designer. They're all about making it look pretty.
Right.
We're all about getting responses.
Right.
Okay, making money from the ad, not just, oh, that's a cool car. They get looking at the car and they forget about what the offer is or who you are.
Yeah. Yeah, the difference between a headline and a picture up at the top of a page is the picture is nice and you're going to stop at the picture. The headline is meant to get you to read the next part of the ad. So the headline reads the subheadline reads the first sentence reads the second sentence, and so on and so forth. It's meant to be a slippery slope so that people feel compelled to read it, to say this is for me or it's not for me. What are they offering? I want to find out what they're offering. I want to take advantage of this offer. Where do I call? Where do I go? What do I do? That sort of thing. So,
Well,
yeah.
my kind of rule of thumb with that, Craig, is the graphics should be there to enhance what
Right.
you just talked about, not to take over the ad.
Amen.
And so many people just give it to an ad rep and say, here you go. And the ad rep, they usually are not marketers, especially when it comes to their sales folks.
Right.
Nothing against them, okay?
Yeah.
But they want to make it look pretty, and a lot of times they like to make the ad appeal to your ego in your business.
We're running out of time, but I just want to bring up a thing. Dan Kennedy used to, for a small period of time, had an ad agency or something like that. And he said, the owner of the company would say, "Hey, you got to put a poodle in the ad because my wife will get mad if the poodle's not in the ad."
Yeah.
And then the guy would supposedly do a separate campaign or something like that. Two different examples, sorry. But the point being is sometimes people just have an ego, or they want it to look pretty. They want it to look nice. They want it to represent their brand versus they're focused on that versus getting results. And the point is if we have a well-structured ad with a compelling offer and all the elements that you just mentioned, they will get results. And people won't worry whether it's a high-end place or a low-end place or a classy place or whatever. They want what they want because you spoke to them in a way that entered the conversation currently occurring in the prospect's mind, right? Hey, I need that. I want that. I want to get it right now. And so before we close, do you have any, let me preface this. If you want to write good ads, study good advertising and good ads, what books or where would somebody learn how to do that if they wanted to do it on their own to learn how to write a good ad?
The Ultimate Sales Letter
Yeah.
is by Dan Kennedy. And one other one that I would say is more for the kind of the beginner is direct response marketing for non-direct response marketers.
Yeah.
And again, that's another Dan Kennedy
Yeah.
book. A lot of people don't realize, and if we say something and you're doing it and you're going, oh, wow, I must be an idiot. No, that's not the case at all.
Right.
Okay, we're trying to help educate. Craig and I have spent tens of thousands of dollars. Am I right?
Yeah, I was going to say over.
Yes. I don't want to go all the way there, but literally
Yeah.
to learn what we've done, to use it, to practice it, to test it, to what have you. And so just because you don't know, again, you may want to get help. And that's what Craig's offering, a book that you might be able to use to help you get there.
Yeah. If they like you and they like you and they like what they heard, and why wouldn't they? Because you're a regular guest on here. How would they get in touch with you if they wanted to learn more about what you do?
Well, one of the things I want to offer, I'll answer that. But, some people, a lot of times I hear, they jump in after point number 2 or 3 and they miss the first couple. If anyone would like a PDF of our 7 elements plus the bonus, and I'll add some of my notes in it. If you'd like to get that, just send me an email at resultsmarketing@sbcglobal.net. That's resultsmarketing@sbcglobal.net. Clear instructions. In the subject line, put the 7 elements.
Yeah.
Okay. Make sure you do that because I get, just like all of you, I get a lot of junk emails. I get several hundred emails a day, and we'll have somebody looking for that. It's easy to search for that subject line and you won't get lost. But I want to give that to everybody.
Awesome. Excellent. And we're going to have you back again and again. So thank you very much for your time today. For for all those listening or watching this, we have a free gift pack for fans of the show. That features me, Dan, and all previous guests from the show. You can get that at mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. It's mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. And we film this or do this live video on YouTube every Wednesday. If you want to watch us and follow what we're doing live and comment and participate, you can go to youtube.com/@mostincrediblemarketingshow. So, Dan, thanks again for being here. I love your preparation and I love your wisdom and our banter back and forth. Thanks so much. Here. And everybody who is joining us or listening to us, thank you so much for following the show. We hope you got something from it. We'll be back next Wednesday and then Thursday on your favorite podcast network. So that's it for today. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Craig. So long, everybody.
Thank you for joining us this week on The Most Incredible Marketing Show Ever. New episodes are available every week on Thursdays. To receive a free gift pack from our expert panelists and get access to show notes from previous episodes, be sure to visit our website, www.mostincrediblemarketingshowever.com. If you're watching this on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button and click the bell up in the right-hand corner to be notified of future episodes so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in this show, we'd appreciate you clicking the like button and leaving a comment on what big aha you got during the show. That's it for today's episode. See you next week.